Welcome to Rogue Bogues. This is episode 49 of the basketball series. Welcome, everybody. And once again, thanks for all the support to tune in and hear our ramblings on the world of basketball. Pro, what's news?
Bogues, what are you doing, man? It snowed like 3 snowflakes in Texas, so the whole state shut down. So we're doing all right over here.
You got no salt in Texas because they didn't expect snow. No plows, no snow.
Yeah. There's everybody was on edge because there was like 3 snowflakes in the whole state. So everybody went nuts. But no, everything's good, man. How about you?
Good, man. A lot has gone on in the NBA the last week. It's been we take a couple of weeks off, do one show, and then the following show we've got a huge run sheet. There's a lot going on. I'm interested to hear who your team of the weeks are, but I'll go first as usual. Of course, They just lost the game, but my team of the week were the Memphis Grizzlies. Before last night's loss, they were 10 straight, 11 straight. They were 11-0 in their last 10. They are now 11-1. They got smacked by Dallas, and they were your team of the week last week, so that fit in real well because Dallas came out and obliterated them on their own floor, I believe. I think it was in Memphis too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at Memphis, and both coaches were in COVID protocol. I watched the game, and they just whooped the shit out of Memphis.
Yeah, I caught a bit of it, and I thought it'd be a closer game. But look, I got to give credit to Memphis. They've had a hell of a last probably 2 weeks. It wasn't so much a cupcake schedule either. The scalps that they got in that 11-game streak, they beat the Warriors, the Lakers, the Cavs, the Nets, and the Phoenix Suns. So definitely not a cupcake schedule by any means. And look, they're looking good. They remind me, not style of play, but just their group, similar to the Warriors team the year we won the championship. And what I mean by that is a good mix of veterans and youth, and they just seem to like each other. And that's what I'm comparing them to the Warriors. They seem to like each other. It seems to be a tough dude in the middle in Adams. They've got Jackson Jr. has been great for him. Marant, Bane. A lot of guys that are just filling different roles for him. A good mix of toughness, speed, youth, and I'm not sure how you feel about them, but I feel like they've got a chance to make some noise. Maybe one piece away. Who knows? That could be to get them to that actual final series championship series, but I like what they're building around Marant. I think it's a good sign to hopefully keep him there long term. What are your thoughts on the Memphis Grizzlies? And then follow it up with your team of the week.
They're everybody's team. Everybody can relate to them. They've got the superstar, obviously, in Marant, but they've got all these other blue-collar guys that they just play hard, they play for each other, they're intense, they defend, they can make shots, they're exciting. They got Steven Adams in the middle, which I love. I'm a huge Steven Adams fan. And you could really get behind those teams, a team like that. And I think they're really tough to stop. I think they are missing something, and they're, like you said, they're like a piece away or so, but they've got all these guys. And don't forget, Dylan Brooks has been out for a while, and he hasn't really been able to play, but obviously Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. and, some of these other guys that they got helping him out. Kyle Anderson comes in and does his thing. So they're a fun team to watch. They take the teams down. I do think that they were missing a little bit without Taylor Jenkins there. And no offense to the acting head coach. He's really good too, but it's obviously different. You play Dallas, which is, Dallas is rolling. I think Dallas, they don't have the firepower without Porzingis, but the ball moves a lot better without Porzingis. And because with Luka and Porzingis, it's a little bit tough. If those guys aren't rolling, they have a hard time really keeping up with good teams, and they totally shut down Memphis. It was pretty
really
cool
good
game.
Defensively, Dallas too, which is surprising.
Yeah.
And one other thing, just to finish on Memphis, they've got that one wild card that it seems like every good championship team needs, and that is a big that can switch 1 through 5. In Jackson Jr. And that's been noted by a few people that he's starting to they're becoming comfortable with going 1 through 5 with him in small ball lineups, even 1 through 4. And his numbers defensively are very, very good. He's in his last 10, 2.9 blocks a game, 1.7 steals. One thing that has gone downhill for him this season is that 3-point shot. His last 10, he's shooting 24%. He's 30% for the season. That's one thing that's gone down. But what they've got back is he's becoming that wild card. And look, whether you like it or not, every team's got to have a small ball lineup that they can go to. And that small ball lineup is predicated on, can your 5 switch 1 through 5, keep that guard in front, be able to still protect the rim and make that guard finish tough in the paint, or contest that 3. That's what we see in portions of every playoff series. It comes down to that. A la Clippers, Utah, when they exposed Rudy that one series. It's going to come down to whether your big can do that. And they've got a guy that can do it. So just wanted to make a note of that, Pro.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're really good. Like you said, they're missing something for now, but I think that they've got a lot of their guys sewn up. I don't think Morant's going anywhere. I think that city loves him, that state loves him. Obviously, he's still under his rookie deal, so he's not going to go anywhere for a while. And I think that he loves that sort of role that he has. I think he can get behind. He loves the fact the city's behind him and just sort of his type of environment. And they've got a lot of blue collar guys that, they get it done. They got a coach that's really good, young coach. It's sort of getting his chance too. And Jaren Jackson, like you said, he got injury last year, but this year he's really coming into his own. And like you said, it's being able to switch. And that was a big thing, I think, with Golden State. Everybody wanted to talk offense. I remember talking to Chandler Parsons, and we were talking. Remember, you guys went on that big run. I don't know if it was a championship year. Was that the year that you guys won like 18 straight?
Yeah, Luke Walton. Luke Walton was coaching, yep.
Yeah, and he's like, "Pro, I think these guys are for real." And at that point, it's like, oh, fuck those, any team that shot threes like that, you were like, nah, they're going to burn out. I said, well, what makes you think that or say that? And he goes, well, forget about the offense. He goes, I don't care about the offense. The defense, you could switch 1 through 5. Like, who are you going to go by? And, at that point, it was true. The defense was stifling. And I think that when you have bigs that could switch, when you have perimeter guys that could switch on a big, like when you have that switching lineup, and that's when not a lot of people switched. I think that was sort of coming into its own where now everybody was starting to switch a little bit. And then when you guys won a championship, forget about it. It was everybody switched because everybody likes to copy the personnel, right? Championship teams.
You need the personnel.
Yeah.
You can't just grab a regular, hey, we're switching 1 through 5 now because everyone else is doing it. You better have the horses.
Yeah. And that's the problem with the NBA, right? Like, everybody wants just to do it regardless of personnel. And I always thought that was not really the smartest fucking thing to be doing, for a team. When they wanted to take on this persona, but they didn't have the personnel to do it. It's like threes, right? When you have teams that can't make shots, they want to still shoot 45 threes a game because that's what the numbers are telling you to do. And then everybody wants to switch 1 through 5. Well, that's what Golden State does. Yeah, that's fucking Golden State, motherfucker. Like, what are you doing? You just do what you can do. So anyways, I think that they're a really good team. They're really fun to watch. Hats off to fucking Dallas, who kicked the shit out of them and just really took advantage of their situation and just, they played hard. Luka destroyed them. Dorian Finney-Smith had a big game defensively, and Dwight Powell and, Maxi Kleber played well. It was Brunson doing what he's been doing all year. So they really kicked the shit out of him. It wasn't really that fun of a game because they killed him, but it was pretty cool to see. But yeah, Memphis was killing it with this little run they had before Dallas put them out. But it was they're a fun team to watch, man.
Who's your team? Your team of the week?
Miami Heat. 8-2.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, they're destroying teams. Like, that's the one thing about them.
They were short-handed with some of those 10 games too. Jimmy just came back.
Yeah, I mean, they just it doesn't matter. It's like next man up. Sort of like the Patriots without the championships, right? Like, it's like you do your job. You're tough. The big thing about teams that really have a chance to win championships, Bogues. We talked about it before. When you can destroy teams that are below you, and then you can go on the road and hold your own and or beat teams on the road. And they go into Atlanta and they beat them by 24. They beat them 115-91. They went into Phoenix and they beat them by 23. They go into Portland, which, everybody goes into Portland and, destroys them. But they beat them by 6. And, after just losing to Golden State, the game before that by 7. But when you can do that and you just have that toughness, you've got Tyler Hero, you got Jimmy Butler that just came back. You got all those young guys that, they're just getting called up or just up in their minutes and they're just performing. Kyle Lowry's playing tough for them. They don't have Bam. Spoelstra, that's why I like when they're talking about real coaches, because he's coached through bad teams, good teams, and they always seem to compete regardless of how little talent he's got. And he just sort of gets it done. They're a cool team to watch.
How about Omer Yurtseven, bro? They found something there, man.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I knew nothing about this kid. He didn't play a whole lot. Bam gets hurt. Prime example of a kid he's a rookie. Last attended Georgetown from Turkey. What is he, 6'11", 23 years old. But out of nowhere, man. And like I said, first one to be honest, I knew nothing about this kid. He's averaging 6.2 and 6.6 right now, but he's a rebounding machine. You look at, this is his last 5 games, right? His last 5 games from January 5, 14 and 16, 7 and 16, 13 and 10, 17 and 11, And then last night he had a tough matchup against Embiid as a rookie, but he had 10 and 6. But a rebounding machine, can also pass the ball. He's had a couple of high assist games, an 8 assist game and a 6 assist game. Do you know much about him? I don't know anything really about him, but shit, they've found one. And then when Bam comes back, it's going to be interesting to see if they continue to play this kid, because he's earned some fucking minutes.
Yeah, Bogues, like you probably had that discussion with a million young players the last 5 or 6 years of your career. We always had it in player development where, look, two things. A, you stay in your role, like whatever skill that you have that's going to impact a big game, just keep doing that. Don't play out of your role. Just do what's going to work. And then you always got to stay ready. All these players, it's sort of like those movies you see when you're on a deserted island and you're about to give up. And you can't allow yourself to get crazy when you're not playing. You got to continue to do the work, do the same things every day, and just stay ready. I always told guys, look, you're going to have that night in February where you're down 25, and you're playing Golden State down 25, and your fucking coach just throws you in. You haven't played in a month. Well, instead of Golden State Warriors, you're playing COVID, because COVID destroyed your whole fucking roster. And you finally got thrown in a game because everyone's out, and you're making the best out of your opportunity. And that's what that kid did. He stayed ready. He didn't listen to the noise. He didn't go crazy. He trusted those guys' ability to make him better and say, look, you're going to play at some point. And hey, look, he got that COVID opportunity. He's a COVID baby in the NBA. That's what he is. He was hatched through fucking COVID. And now he's got tremendous value compared to where he had it, in the preseason. And now they got a pretty good weapon that they could use.
Agree. I mean, I'm on the Yurt 7 train. He's my Mo Bamba, pro. He's my Mo Bamba. Your Mo Bamba is my Yurt 7. So big shout out to him. I just love seeing guys come out of nowhere and be like, make me stop and have to actually click on their name and research where they're from and what they did. So he's got my attention, and perfect situation in Miami with the way they do things there. I think he's going to be a great player for them for a long time, considering what he's doing at a young age as a rookie. Okay, team of the week, my shitty team of the week. Now, I've given this team a lot of good pub over the years, and I enjoy their team style of basketball, but the Utah Jazz, pro. Mm-hmm. Man, awful week.
We got the same one. Yeah,
awful week. 4 straight losses, 5-5 in their last 10. My problem isn't so much the losses, it's who they lost to. Their 4 straight losses were Toronto, okay, half decent, Indiana, Detroit, and Cleveland. You got to at least go 2-2 out of that 4 split, right? But what has also been sounded off within this, Rudy Gobert hasn't played in those games. We know there's a lot of people talking like Rudy's not that good, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think we're seeing what a Rudy-less Utah Jazz looks like, and it's not great. It's not great at all. I think not having that big fella, even though he might not get that block shot on the stat sheet, him patrolling that paint, it's a different Utah Jazz with him not patrolling that paint. But you found some comments that were interesting around right after I picked the team of the week being the Utah Jazz. Basically says that the team's been one of the best NBA teams for a number of seasons. They're yet to take that next step forward and join the league's elite teams when it matters. In the postseason, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner Gobert sounded off what he believes separates the Jazz from the league's elite, like the Warriors and the Suns. Quote, when I watch some of these other teams like the Suns and the Warriors, those guys are a step ahead in terms of winning habits. They take every game personally. Devin Booker is playing his ass off defensively. Guys like that, they buy in, and you can tell they take pride in playing defense and stopping their man, doing whatever they can defensively to stop the other team and be part of a winning culture. I think we're not there yet, but I think we're going to get there. What do you think about that quote, bro?
Those are pretty strong words, man.
It's kind of pointed. It's kind of pointed when you bring up Devin Booker. You bring up the Phoenix Suns' best offensive player, buying in and playing defense. If I'm a certain star on that team that's an offensive juggernaut on that team, I'd be reading that like I think you're talking about me if I was Donovan Mitchell, pro. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's definitely sort of indicated it's going his way for sure. Hey, look, you could say what you want. They were a good team. They were rolling this year. And this guy goes out and the team goes to shit. The team goes to complete shit when he's out. And hey, look, you could point fingers. You could call Rudy whatever you want to call him. No offense, a little soft, COVID microphone, whatever you want to make fun of him for. You can't make fun of the fact that this guy's been out and the team has totally gone downhill. And now he's calling out his team a little bit. Now, hey, look, you could judge him for that. You could judge him if you want. That's a common person, but I think he's got some validity to what he's saying, man. I mean, you cannot win in this league unless you guard people. And if you don't have Rudy to back you up on the backside of the defense, well, it's got to come from the front side. And everybody's got to try to play both sides of the ball. And I haven't watched them, although I took them and lost 4 fucking straight. The last 4 games I've taken Utah, I lost all 4. Detroit, fucking Indiana, Golden State, Mini. But yeah, like he's got some points. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but I mean, look, for as much as he calls him out, I'm sure you could call him out for some things too. But I mean, look, this team is not competing right now. They're losing to some shit teams that it doesn't matter if Rudy was out or not. You got to be able to you got to be able to go next man up and be able to beat teams. So obviously his value to that team is very, very high. And yeah, look, the playoffs, he got taken advantage of and all that. I get it. But I mean, I know it's early and all, but it's a big indicator that they need him in the middle for them to be successful.
They do. And for like you said, all the criticism they get at times with he's not an offensive threat at times. Well, he's still a lob threat. But you see what you lose defensively. So what do you want? They look horrible defensively. They look older. They look old. They are old. Shit's not going right when Joe Ingles is trying to fight Jared Allen. I don't know if you saw that, but got to give a shout out to our guy Joe Ingles. He's frustrated. So and he likes to get into a bit of smack talk and all that. But he came in with a flying kung fu elbow to Jared Allen's head. And if Joey's frustrated, something's going on in that locker room. So I think they've been a team that has been that defensive team where they have bought in. So to see these comments from Rudy, I think there could be something more read into that. I think they're a very good regular season team when healthy. But this is what we spoke about it in our preseason rankings, that this is their year. Like there's no more excuses for the Utah Jazz. Like you've built your roster, you've got a few star players, you've got a few star scorers, you've got a great bench guy in Clarkson, you've got a good backup big now for Rudy. The time is now. Otherwise, they can't just. I think this roster's getting very close to not just having to make a tweak in the offseason. It's going to be where's the dynamite and go boom. Factor that in with Donovan Mitchell staying long term. There's a lot of questions that are going to need to be answered for the Utah Jazz, and they need to get back on track. I still think they're capable, but right now they look like shit, and I think this can now silence a bit of these people that even players in the league that have somewhat disrespected Rudy. Look, he's not a pretty player to watch at times. He's not give me a 18-foot ISO step back, jab, cha-cha-chas, process, fade away. He's not that guy that's going to look great on NBA 2K, but he fucking gets you wins, and he's a monster in the paint. And you're not getting finger rolls and rolling hooks and layups and offensive rebounds when he's in the game. I don't care who you are. You're not getting that against Utah Jazz with Rudy in there. When he's not in there, well, you lose to Toronto, Indiana, Detroit, and Cleveland, 4 straight. So that gives people their answer around Rudy. But let's hope the Utah Jazz can get back on track. I enjoy watching them play. I enjoy watching them, in Utah with that crazy-ass crowd they've got. So hopefully they can get back on track. Klay Thompson was back. We're going to touch on it. Every man and his dogs talked about it. But it was great to see him back in true Klay form. 18 shots in 20 minutes in his first game back. Did you see the quote around the first play of the game they ran? No.
I think I sort of saw it. Something like, what did he say, not to take it and he took it anyway?
No,
or he had to give it up?
The play wasn't for Klay. The first play of the game was for Klay to come off a pin down curl, and then I think it was a secondary off that pin down where I think they had Steph or someone else coming off it. But Klay caught it off the curl, was supposed to move it on, and just went straight to the bucket and shot that floater and made it. And Steve Kerr was like, I should have known better than to run Klay as a decoy early on in the game. So that's Klay Thompson. We love him. I mean, he came in, Jack in, he looked very, very good. I think now's the time where we see the body of work that he's put in the last 2 years to get himself back on the court. Now is when you see it. The first 2 or 3 games, you're playing on adrenaline, you're playing on the momentum of finally being back. He looked great. I think 3 or 4 games in, now the body's sore again. Now the injury might be a little bit of a sore again, the Achilles, the knee. So I think now is when Klay really, that body of work that he's put in really pays off, because now you're running in NBA mud like everyone else. You know what I mean, with those injuries. So it's been great to see him back. Once he gets back to 30 solid minutes at both ends of the floor, which is going to be the hard thing to do for a little while, they're going to be a very, very tough team to beat. You factor in the Wiseman injury does throw a spanner in the works. I still think they probably need one big body still. And if I'm a gambling man, I'd guess they're going to pick someone up around the buyout trade deadline. There'll be someone floating around that's just a big that, hey, they might run into Philly in the finals. They might run into, Anthony Davis where Draymond gets in foul trouble, So I think they just need another big. They can come in there for 10 or 15 spot minutes and bang a few people around. That's the one thing they're missing with Wiseman's injury, Pro.
Yeah, they really don't have that one big that they usually have, and they could rely on, they use Looney and, Draymond and small lineups and things like that. They definitely should look to do something. They're not going to look to probably unload any of those young guys. I don't think they're going to unload guys like Wiggins or whatnot. Obviously, he's too valuable to the team unless the right deal comes up.
It'll be a buyout guy.
Yeah, it'll be that that type of player that just gets bought out, and like you said,
DeAndre Jordan, someone like that. It's just someone that isn't playing in their current situation, which DeAndre isn't. Probably, I doubt he'd be too happy there. They're in the 8, 9, 10 seed. They're not like competing for a championship. Maybe he goes there, and just gives them 5, 10 spot minutes. Comes in with a
Cauley Stein. Cauley Stein just got waived earlier by Dallas to make room for Marquise Chris. And so I could see DeAndre, I could see him, one of those guys getting waived to sort of just use their big body. They'll go through some struggles, like they'll struggle against some teams, or just getting used to it. You know how that rehab stuff goes. They'll have their ups and downs. They'll have to sit, Klay will have to sit once or twice.
Yeah.
But once they get their legs late season, I think they'll be all right.
Yep. No doubt. Did you see by any chance that Kyrie might be able to play home games, Pro?
You know what? I did see that a little bit, but I haven't really read into it. Please fucking educate me on it.
Fucking, what a joke, man. This has just turned into such a joke. And we're dealing it here with Novak Djokovic to an extent, but there was a report from the New York Daily News that there were penalties listed in former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's executive order are as follows. Breach of those mandates is a warning for the first offense, $1,000 USD fine for the second offense, $2,000 USD fine for the third, and $5,000 USD fine for the fourth, fifth, and subsequent. So $5,000 each in discretion. The Nets currently have 20 home games. So on quick math, roughly $100K for Kyrie to play. Is that not the biggest fucking no-brainer in the world, bro?
One would think so. Now, somebody said, and I could be mistaken on this, somebody said, I think that there's a memo around the league that said that, they're going to go on the mandate. Is it the state mandate that they have to listen to, or the city mandate? Is it the state mandate? As far as what they have to listen to?
Yeah. I think it'd be state and city, wouldn't it? I think it'd be city.
Yeah, so, it's unbelievable that he had to go through all this stuff, and now all of a sudden they just could pay the $100,000, which he probably makes by the first quarter.
Yeah.
And he could just, of one game, and just sort of write them a check and burn some sage, and he'll be fine. So
everyone knows $100K, you throw that at coronavirus, it fucking disappears, bro. Everyone knows that. I mean, you can tape it to your face, you can tape it around the cracks of the doors, around the facilities and arenas, and then you're safe. Everyone, $100,000, it's an easy fix. So it's all about your health, bro. I just cannot believe, first of all, the hypocrisy of him being able to be around the team and the executives that was spoken about at length 100 million times. But then, it is a punishment at this point. It's, in my opinion, I think it has nothing to do with health. It's strictly, you did not conform to what we wanted you to do. That most of the community did, so we're going to punish you for it. But now the fact that they're just taking the piss at this point, you're just going to pay a small little fine, you can continue to play. It'd be interesting to see what the NBA stance on it is, whether they allow them to do that, whether Joe Tsai, who's been a big advocate for Kyrie not playing at one point until he needed some fucking wins, and then you're welcome back with open arms. Kyrie, you're my best mate. Welcome back. We really missed you. I would have loved for you to play earlier, but it is interesting and just continues to be, up is down, as Pro says, black is white, left is right.
Yeah, just another day at the circus, my man.
Yeah, it is. So one other thing the NBA has announced, Pro, they've announced the daily surveillance COVID-19 testing for players, coaches, and Tier 1 personnel is done, Pro. No more. Individuals will remain subject to testing only if symptomatic or exposed or enhanced, or if the league enhances a directive, like the league office says, well, you were around some people that were deemed positive, we need to test you. But they're done with the daily testing. I think it's a good step. I think it's a good step not only for the NBA, but hopefully for society to not have a runny nose and straight away look for a test. If you're sick, stay home, hydrate, take some medication, lie down, put an ice pack on your head, do whatever you got to do. I think we need to get back to that old school way of thinking, Pro. But I think that's a good move from the NBA because we all know culturally eventually society follows celebrity / sports, and hopefully it will follow suit in this scenario, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been through so much with this virus in this league, like how they handled it, the testing, the constant testing, the bubble, the testing, sort of all this stuff, the Kyrie, episode, the Wiggins episode. It's just, this is real. I think it's good. I think it's good to finally saying, hey, look, let's just move forward from this, and, we'll deal with it when we're not going to be in fear of this thing as much as we were in the past. We're just going to deal with it and accept it. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's a step in the right direction, not only for the league, but for society. So
good job, NBA. We're giving NBA some positive pub today. It's fucking Armageddon on Rogue Bogues this episode. Did you see, this shit is hilarious. So the Sacramento Kings, they have a segment or a sponsor, and it's called the Ice Cold Player of the Game, bro. Did you see this?
Yeah, I heard about it. That's the Westbrook thing, right?
Oh, man, it was fucking funny. So anyway, for people out there, some context. Whenever Russell Westbrook missed a shot against Sacramento Kings in Sacramento, whenever he missed a shot, the sound clip of "It's cold as ice" came on, right? Every shot.
Rick James.
So someone had clipped all the clips together of all his misses, and literally they I don't know what he shot from that game. He missed 10, 15 odd shots. Just kept saying "cold as ice" just for like 2 seconds every time he missed a shot. Mm-hmm. And I guess they pick a player every game they do it with, and it was hilarious. It was marketing genius. I love it, and it's not. I don't think it's offensive. I don't think it's derogatory. I think it's you're a road team player. You're going to cop some shit. The NBA's banned it. So the NBA's told Sacramento they can't do it anymore. On what grounds, I don't know. But I thought it was very, very clever and very, very funny. They asked Westbrook about it. He had no idea about it because obviously, players in games, we're not really listening to what's on the PA half the time. We're concentrating on the game. They asked Russ, and I liked his comeback. He said, well, shit, has Sacramento been playing that the last 15 years? So it's a bit of good banter. Like, do we really want to get so robotic, pro, that we can't, like, even Russ had a laugh about it. Like, Russ was like, you know what? Like, I'm taking a shot back at Sacramento. You guys have sucked the last 20 odd years. But
yeah,
for the NBA to come in and ban it, pro, come on, man.
Well, I mean, with the players getting fans ejected, Booker the other day with the Raptor behind him when he was shooting free throws, like, hey, look, like I don't know. It seems like you can get under a player's skin pretty easily these days, and for the most part. So I don't know how you deal with it. I guess they just sort of whatever they need, they give it to them. And yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's a pretty funny deal they got going on there, the cold as ice deal. But
do you think Russ cares? Do you think Russ is a guy that would care, though?
I don't think so. The way he's wired, I don't think so, because he's a competitive kid. But I don't know. These guys are a little extra sensitive these days about stuff like that. I definitely like the comeback that he had. That was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a team official, probably from the Lakers complained, because we're the Lakers. You can't do that to us.
I mean, these teams got to man the fuck up. I mean, who cares? Like, you're just trying to have some fun. Like, look, it's always going to come around. Like he said, they should have been having it for the last 15 years, no doubt about it. But like, one day you're going to suck. 4 days later, someone else is going to suck. And you know how this thing goes. It's funny. I think you should be able to have some self-deprecating humor, but not these days, Bogues. Everybody's so fucking, wound pretty fucking tight, man.
Yeah, but and it's going to come back. Russ is going to play there eventually and have 30, 10, and 10, and maybe hit a buzzer beat him. Who knows? And he's going to give it straight back to him. And that's a part of the, that's what you want. Like, we don't want to turn people into robots. We don't want to turn people into. This is why I'm strongly against kicking fans out, because it's hearsay. Yeah. You don't know unless, like we said, unless it's something that's been corroborated by numerous people. It was a death threat, like something that's like obviously past the line of being a human being. Get him the hell out. But if it's like, hey, you suck, dude. Hey, LeBron, you're soft. Kick him out. Like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to encourage that. You're right. It has been encouraged by players, so it's not a surprise they've banned it. But we cannot be robots in society, man. Like, we just need to be able to laugh at ourselves. You're gonna cop some days you're Alvin Gentry, some days you're the bird, some days you're the statue. He used to say that all the time. Some days you get shit on, and some days you're doing the shitting on. That's a part of life. You can't always be the bird. You can't always be the statue. But man, I just wish guys would have a better sense of humor with this kind of stuff.
Just give them a baseline, or give them a line where they can't cross. Say, look, you can't say anything about family. You can't say anything about this or that, but you can say something about, you could make fun of a guy if he's having a cold night. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know, man. It seems like every time you sort of talk about that stuff, it seems like you're the old guy in the room room and you're the, get off my lawn guy, And it's not. It's just like, it used to be a league where like, you had toughness and guys can take it and you can make fun of guys and they'll be all right with it. You had some nuts and some fucking nutty guys that you couldn't do that with, but for the most part, you could do it.
You go to the local supermarket, there's idiots. You go to the local car wash, you go to a local cafe, you go to the local park, there's always that one asshole that doesn't pick up his dog shit. Like, it's like, it's not just for basketball, but you're right. Like, it's like, you gotta have fun with it. We just can't get to a point in society. And I think we're in the majority, bro. I hope we are. I think we are. I don't think we're there, get off my lawn. I think most people can agree, I'm saying this as a former athlete, that we've become a bit precious, that yes, you should be allowed to go to a game and give an athlete shit for missing a shot. You should be able to give him shit for being traded 15 times or being a bad teammate or any of that stuff. But yeah, wife, kids, death, family, sickness, that's basic human decency where you don't give people shit about that, the uncontrollables, right? Race, religion, sexuality, color, creed, obviously stay away from that stuff and you should be punished if you cross that line. But it's getting to the point where, we're just, I don't want to be part of a robotic society. I want to cop shit from someone and I want to give them shit back. I don't want to be where it's like, hey, nice day outside. Okay, good to see you. Bye-bye. That's all we can talk about. Nothing else.
But you know what? Like the same people who rat you out for doing it enjoys doing it. Like they'll enjoy doing it to you.
Yeah, no shit.
But if you do it to them, they want to play victim. Like, come on, man, give me a fucking break, would you please?
Yeah, exactly. And NBA players are the best at talking shit away from the fans in the locker room. Like, you've been around locker rooms, like it's banter non-stop.
No doubt.
Man, what shoes are you wearing, Bogues? They're fucking ugly. Oh man, what is that outfit you got on? Oh, look at that shitty little car you bought. Like, everything is judgmental in that locker room.
When I was with Chandler Parsons and Dirk, like, those guys can take it. Like, I destroyed Chandler Parsons and fucking Dirk every day, and they took it. Now, they love giving it. Like, Chandler Parsons, I hope we can get him on the pod one of these days. That guy is one of the funniest motherfuckers I've ever heard in my life. But, like, he has a bad night, you could kill him for it, and he'll laugh at you. Some guy can call him white trash, swear at him, this and that. I hope you die, da-da-da. He'll just laugh. Like, it's just, now, of course, that's a little... going a little bit far with it, but like you could say almost anything to him, and that's how he is. And I wish everybody was like that, but you know how it is, Bogues. Just again, down is up is down, fucking left is right. It's fucking Twilight Zone, my man.
Yeah, it's just a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. It's literally we're one iota away from not being allowed to clap when your team scores and not being allowed to boo when the other team scores. We're very, very close. Like, only positive.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to click. Well, you're gonna have to click like and dislike from your chair. That's what you'll be able to do, and you can't say shit.
And if you're really angry, you can you just keep pressing dislike. Yeah,
or an emoji, a sad face emoji.
100%. Oh yeah. I hope it's not just. Please, listeners, tell us we're not in the minority. Please tell us if we are. Let us know and we'll adjust. But fuck, if we're in the minority, let's just end the pod. Let's end it now, bro. Let's just wait for the media.
Did you see? By the way, Bogues, we didn't write about this, but did you see about a week ago? Washington, the Washington Wizards announcer, said something about Kevin Porter's dad, and he thought that Kevin Porter's dad played for the team. There was a Porter that played for Washington.
He claimed the reference was about his dad being a basketball player. But his dad had actually shot and killed someone legitimately, right? Yeah.
And then LeBron called for his head. I'm glad it went away because as it should have. I understand, though, LeBron's point of view for a half a second, if you didn't look it up. LeBron called this guy out for not looking it up. Well, he should have looked it up as well, that this guy, there was a Porter that played for Washington. I'm glad it didn't really go that far. I mean, maybe the guy should get reprimanded because, just knowing the guys. But, what are you going to do?
He says it was an honest mistake, right? So, for context, people, he said something along the lines of he can shoot it.
Trigger.
He can pull the trigger like his dad.
He pulls the trigger like his dad, yeah.
Yeah, and the I guess Kevin Porter Jr.'s dad, which I didn't know, has shot and killed someone and is in jail or still in jail, whatever's going on. But the commentator had said that, no, I was referring to, I believe this father played basketball for the Bullets or the Wizards back in the day.
Yep.
That's the context. And it'd be a silly thing for a commentator to say. I don't think he'd purposely say something. I'd give the benefit of the doubt because in today's day and age, like we just spoke about, people getting offended. That's you're in big trouble there, right? But then LeBron came out and said that's unacceptable. Then they came back and said, well, LeBron, he said that he was talking about. Well, he should do he should do research. He should do his research better. Well, LeBron, guess what? You didn't know enough about the Hong Kong situation either, buddy. So chill the fuck out.
Yeah, and there's no place for him in our game. I remember that. That's what he said. Like, shit, like, you know how everybody's afraid of LeBron, like, and it follows what he said. Imagine, there could have been death threats to this guy. That, like, and I listened to a bunch of their games because when I watch those guys on the League Pass, and the guy's like the straightest laced guy ever. It's not like Perk or someone like that, or
Drew Gooden's the player on that call, right? My former teammate Drew Gooden's he's the funny guy, right?
Yeah. But like once in a while, I don't think he's on the telecast, but I think they probably put him in studio. But I mean, he's like as straight laced can get, and it is what it is. Now it's a little weird because there's no way that guy would have said that, meaning about the kid's dad. I mean, I thought he meant Terry Porter, who played for the Trailblazers with Clyde Drexler, but there was another Porter that played that had a pretty decent career for Washington. Anyways, it's just another example of how like we're quick, no pun intended, we're quick triggered, to like go off on this stuff when like, well, wait a minute, you should find out what the guy meant first, Yeah, just another fucking shit show.
Yeah, he got caught up in that shitstorm. That poor guy woke up in the morning like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, now the guy's got to apologize. They'll probably, I don't know, they might suspend him. He has to probably do
if they suspend him, that is an absolute joke if they suspend him for that.
He'll have to do like 9 classes. He'll have to like visit schools and stuff. I mean, visit jails.
I sent him to AA just in case he was drinking.
Yeah, I mean, come on, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, I saw that and it was typical. I'm definitely not surprised to say the least, but sad times.
Nah.
There was a small trade that went down, Pro. Interesting one to me. The Atlanta Hawks traded Cam Reddish to the New York Knicks for a deal that includes a protected 2022 first-round pick via Charlotte. Knicks also acquire Solomon Hill, 25 second-round pick via Brooklyn in trade, and New York also at the end of that included Kevin Knox in the trade to Atlanta. I don't mind Cam Reddish. I don't know what the story is there, but he had some injury issues early in his career. Didn't play a lot last season. Was in and out of the lineup. Came back, had a decent playoff run. 11.9 points this season, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 40% from the field, 38 from 3, 90% from the line. I think that's a good acquisition for the Knicks. Now, there could be some personality issues, some cultural issues there, which I'm assuming. Apparently, he's been wanting out of Atlanta for a number of months, if not a season, and they just finally bit the bullet and said, we're going to get you out of here, and they obviously suck right now too, so they could make that move right now and just get on with things. But what are your thoughts, Pro? Who wins this small little trade?
Obviously, the Knicks didn't really give up much for it, and they gave up a protected pick, which usually those picks are lottery protected, so it's not really going to be much. So basically, a protected pick, Bogues, that says, all right, it's going to be protected through lottery. So if it's a lottery pick next year, if the Knicks fall in the lottery, then it goes to the next year, and then it goes to the next year, and it usually like the protection goes lottery, and then it will go to like 20 usually, and then up and up. And then if it's not collected by a certain amount, a certain year, then it becomes either totally unprotected, where it could be any pick, depending on where they fall, or it turns into something else, like it turns into like 3 second rounders or 2 second rounders or whatever. Look, you get a free look at Cam Reddish. He's a pretty good player. Look, I think he was like the 10th pick of the draft. He's a talented kid, had some attitude issues from what I've heard. And look, everybody that ever gets drafted thinks of Michael Jordan anyway and LeBron James. So it's like he probably thinks he's a lot better than he is, and he needs more of a role in the team. And most of these situations, even if you drafted at 10, you know how it is, Bogues. You're probably like 4th or 5th best player in a team at best anyway, but you probably think you're a lot better because that's where you've been your whole career. So now the Knicks got a free look at this kid. They've already got this young team, sort of young, sort of not, that they're trying things out. They get this free look at this kid who was an All-American, who's one of the best players in the country in college, hasn't really done a lot yet. And they got to, they see if this guy, that they kick the tires on this guy and see what happens. And then Atlanta just gets off this guy. They got a pick that, probably won't turn into much, but who knows? And then they also get Kevin Knox. So we'll see.
I like it for the Knicks. I think it gives him a bit more shooting. He can shoot the ball. He gets them up at times, but he can shoot the ball. Like I said, he's right on 38% for the season. His percentages have gotten better from last season, where he was a dismal 27% last season, but in and out of the lineup, only played 26 games, so I think that was attributed to his injury and coming back from that. But you're getting a free run at a guy that's averaging 12 points. The Knicks need a bit more 3-point shooting. I think it's a good move. I think it's a low-risk move. Thibs isn't going to tolerate that BS. Cam Reddish probably knows, hey man, I've got a second lease on life here. I can't be a dickhead. You hope he goes in there, puts his hard hat on, does does his work and provides a bit of a spark for them. But I like it. I think it's a good pickup for the Knicks. And the Knicks needed something to kind of give them a bit of a jolt. Hopefully Derrick Rose will be back soon and they can make another run, because they've been all over the place too. They've missed out on our NBA Team of the Week, as in shitty, just a few times, because there's been teams way shitter than them, but they've been close. They've been teetering, Pro. So we'll watch that space. The Detroit Pistons again, Pro, have made a trade and then failed to play on a physical. Bol was traded from the Nuggets to the Pistons, and his physical was failed, which is always awkward. The team trades you and then has to take you back. Oh no, we didn't mean to trade you, dude. Like we still have a place for you. Mm-hmm. That's always a weird one to me. But Monta Eunice has given a quote around this. He was famously denied the trade with Detroit back 6 years ago now. He gave comment and said, I was failed on physicals and told by the Detroit doctors I will not play basketball again. 6 years later, I'm still here and I have many years to go. They are destroying young players' names and futures in the NBA by doing this. That was a quote he gave to Alex Kennedy of basketballnews.com. It is an interesting point he makes, Pro. The Pistons are notorious. They've had more than a few failed physicals over the years. You don't see this very often, but as soon as a team fails a player for a physical, they could be right or wrong. Doesn't matter. That name is tarnished then. Your name as a player, your value, because teams look at it like, we think he's fine, but shit, that team over there failed him. It's like that girl that no one wants to date at high school. Like, why is no one dating her? She's not bad looking. What's going on? What am I missing here? You know? Mm-hmm. And that's this situation. I think, Monta Eunice has a point, and he's still playing basketball, albeit not in the NBA. He's still playing 6-7 years on. Remember, I was told with 2 different injuries, I got that puppy dog pout face when I asked about, what's the prognosis? It was like, NBA basketball probably not at the top of your list. Twice, Pro, and continued to play. So very, very interesting. What are your thoughts around it?
I think the reason why they failed the physical of Bol, they took one look at his highlights and they go, no. So I think that's the physical he failed. He's a Summer League All-American. He's not very good. He had a very good name in college or whatnot. Look, I don't think they fake failed his physical. They didn't give up anything for him. So, it wasn't like they gave up anything for him. It was sort of like, almost like the Knicks, where they're just getting a free look at the kid, and because they're not going anywhere anyway. But yeah, look, if they make mistakes on this stuff, it could tarnish it a little bit for sure. I don't think he can play, although I said that for Mo Bamba, and the guy was like Carmelo in the last 9 months of his career. But like with this situation, Monta Eunice, I remember his situation about failing physicals and things like that. Hey, look, that was his take on it, Detroit and his situation for sure. So he gets to feel a certain way about it, and he's not wrong in that, and the way he probably got handled. I haven't really paid attention to what they've done medically in a long time in Detroit, so I can't really speak on it, but hey, it could really fuck you up. Like you said, it could give you a reputation. It's like a credit rating. It'll take about 8 years to fucking clean up, especially if they say you got a certain something. I think he's suffering from a rare form of can't playitis that is irreversible. So that's what I think Bol has. I don't think, I don't care what he failed on his physical, but a lot of times too, you could fail a physical and they could just say, and they could just like sign a waiver and take you anyway. Yeah. So I'm surprised that they like.
It's not an expensive deal. It's on his rookie deal, right? Like, it's like, that's why I didn't get it.
Yeah, second round pick.
Yeah, it's like he's on shit all money. You can bring him in, and even if he is hurt or you don't want him or whatever reason, you just cut him and you eat, a couple $100,000, maybe $600,000-$700,000 for the season. I don't know what the number is. I'm making this up, but this isn't a guy that's got $50 million guaranteed for 3 years where you're like, holy shit, like, are we guaranteeing someone that's a walking injury? That's why it was head scratching to me, and that's why I brought it up, because it's just a weird one. It's like, why even bother with the trade if you then realize he's not good? Like, you've had his highlights for the last 2 years and know what's going on. So anyway, but yeah, it can cost the player. And like I said, you get tarnished with that X on your back or that stench. It might not be true, but if one team labels you that, bad attitude, injury prone, whatever, well, then you got to live with it and try to prove everyone wrong, and it can cost you money. In the meantime, Dame Lillard is out, Pro. He's looks like he's going to be done for the season or close to. Abdominal surgery, a reoccurring injury that he hurt a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago now. What's telling in this is they haven't set a timeline, which tells me it's season. It says a surgery is getting reevaluated in 6 to 8 weeks. That is 2 months for everyone out there. That puts us to March, and they're not going to be they might be in contention for maybe the 10, 11, 12 in the West, but are they in tank mode? I mean, Anthony Simons is playing very, very well for them. He's having a hell of a run, taking that opportunity, another young guy. But I mean, are they pretty much in tank mode, Pro? And has Dame played his last game for the Portland Trailblazers?
Bogues, I don't know. Like, every fiber of my being wants to say, yeah, it's his last game. They're going to move on. But how are they going to recreate Dame Lillard if they get rid of him? Like, what are you going to get? You're going to get Ben Simmons, maybe? You're going to go there? You're either going to have to go full tank to get young players and go young again, or are you going to take all these high-priced, middle-of-the-pack guys and take all this money? You're paying him a ransom for his contract, and he's going to want an extension, which he obviously wants. So what do you do? Do you get rid of him for Ben Simmons? Do you go to Boston and ask for Tatum? They probably won't give you Tatum, but they might give you Brown. Like, you could get, obviously, something for him, but where are you going? Like, Dame Lillard's arguably the best player ever in your organization, maybe besides Clyde Drexler. You're going to get rid of him, but, like, what are you going to get back? That's the thing. Like, he's a top 10, top 11 player in the league.
Do you just go try to get some picks and maybe a shedding salary, start building around McCollum and Simons, and then go for a semi-rebuild? I don't know, but that roster's not getting it done. And even if they do get it done, best case scenario for them is a second round loss. Like, it's like, is that what you're building towards? Is a small, like, maybe it is for a small market. I know I was in Milwaukee for a number of years, and the goal was just to get in the playoffs. Even if it was 8 seed, the owner was happy, right? So
I don't know.
But if you're trying to build to the future, you probably just got to get on with it and blow it up, get some young assets back, free up some cap space, build around Simons, maybe even you move McCollum as well down the line and just say, fuck it, we're going bang. Like, this roster's just not going to get it done. You bring Simmons in for Lillard, you got Simmons, Simons, and McCollum, Nurkic. Are they getting out of the second round? I don't think so. Not in the West.
No. Not at all. They're flawed. Their roster's definitely flawed. They're tried.
Stuck in a tough spot.
Yeah, they maximized it. I mean, they got, for a small backcourt like him and McCollum is, they don't play defense. They're offensively minded and they're small. And they don't got anybody. They try, but they can't, right? They're just not, that's not in their DNA.
They're into Golden State 3 of the 4 years, or 4 of the 5 years. So what the fuck are you going to do? Like, so I think they got, but it's just time. I think it's that, do we break up now? Or do we break up in 9 months' time? It's coming, bro. It's coming. I just don't see a scenario where they're like, you know what? McCollum and Lillard continue to be our guys. We're going to build around them. I mean, they're not getting any younger. I just think it's going to be time. You might as well get some assets back and rebuild through the draft as a small market. That's the only way. You're not freeing up cap space and bringing in a third wheel to Portland, another max guy. Like, you got to rebuild. You got to go OKC. You got to go that route when Portland were dominant. So
or Bogues, you go to Philly and say, look, we'll do Lillard for Simmons, Tobias Harris, Thibault, maybe a couple of picks. And we'll give you Lillard, because that's what they want. They want a superstar to put with Embiid. And they want a treasure chest full of things back for Simmons. But to get Lillard, would they give you that? I think they will.
You think they will?
If you're Portland, now you get better defensively with Simmons and Thibault, and then you get Harris that you could put with Powell and McCollum, and you're right there again. So, and you roll the dice with Simmons.
Yeah, I don't think they do both Simmons and Harris though, do they?
Well, that's what they're offering now. Like, that's what I've been hearing, that Philly, it's out there that Philly's offering Harris with Simmons to get off Simmons, and that's for like minimal deals, maybe a little bit better than what we've been talking about in the show. McCollum, Sacramento stuff for like Hield and Harrison Barnes. Those aren't great players in those trades. So they're trying to up the trade they're going to get back to throw Harris in there. Now, if you're going to get Lillard, because if Lillard doesn't want to be there, to get Lillard, you're giving up one of the best defensive players in the league in Thibault, and you're giving up Simmons, which you want to give up anyway, and you give up Harris, who could really score, but you've got some guys that have been scoring a lot for you anyway, with like Seth Curry and some of the other guys that they got on their roster. So it'll be interesting, Bogues. I don't think Portland could just give them away and just get all these young assets back. I think that if they want to do it, they can do it and still get some good players back if they want to do Lillard. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I told you they hired his shooting coach. His workout guy, they hired him as a shooting consultant, Phil Beckner in Philly. So I'm sure Lillard, if he does want to get traded somewhere, wouldn't mind going to Philly to be with this guy. And, he gets to play with Embiid and do whatever they're going to do there. So I think that there will be a trade in Philly. If there's going to be a trade done, it'll be with Philly.
Heard it here first, Pro. You're the Pro Jakowski.
Yeah. Pro bomb.
Pro bomb. All right, we'll watch that space. But Philly better get moving. That deadline is a month away, so it will be interesting to see if we're right about the scuttlebutt of them not moving him. But it will be nice to see him on a roster and playing. Real quick, some NBL Australia. Nothing really too big, Pro. Look, there hasn't been many games. Games are starting to fire back up again with COVID protocol. Illawarra looked the goods. They smacked my Sydney Kings the other night. They look tough. They look primed. They are a team in the NBL. Brian Gorgon coached. They have a good mix of youth, a good mix of imports, a couple of returning players. They just seem like a team they just don't panic. We had them against the ropes early. I think it was 9-0 or 11-0 at one point. He didn't call a timeout. He let him play through it and figure it out. They came back and win the game. So big up to Illawarra. They're looking very, very good. The rest of the league below Illawarra, in my opinion, I think Perth's still up there. Is pretty wide open. It's good to have the games back. Pro the imports here, man. I've spoken about it a little bit, but there is no imports to bring over. RJ Hunter just went down with a season ender for us.
Ooh.
Dislocated patella, we believe. We're not sure. We're just waiting on hearing exactly what is up there. But he's going to be tweaked his patella, dislocated it. We're not too sure. Waiting on scans, but he's going to be out for the season. So we're looking for imports to replace him. And man, it is very dry because of what's going on in the NBA. Most imports are staying close to home because they're just like, you know what, we're just going to stay here and wait to pick up a deal. And you don't fault them for that. So it's actually hurt the NBL. So for the people wondering why there's not a whole influx of imports coming over to the NBL, that is your reason. The 10-day for a guy that could potentially come to Australia, a 10-day in the NBA would pay almost 3/4 of his salary in the NBL. So it's just a no-brainer. And we spoke about it at length a couple of weeks ago or last week that there's been over 550 rostered players in the NBA this season. So if you're an agent for a lot of these guys, you're like, just stay patient, stay here. There might be a few more COVID cases. You'll get a quick 10-day and you'll make your money. So it is hurting leagues around the world, Pro, with imports. But other than that, we'll get a few more games under our belt and talk more NBL next week. Stats, Pro, useful or useless? You ready? Got some good ones?
Sure, why not?
All right. So Giannis in 30 minutes versus the Warriors. 30 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. First player with multiple 30-point triple-doubles in 30 minutes or fewer in the last 40 seasons, Pro. Useful or useless?
Oh, that's useful. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's impressive.
So multiple 30-point triple-doubles in 30 minutes or fewer.
Yep.
I wouldn't even have thought of that, Bogues. I would have thought that maybe somebody would have done that. That's pretty damn good for 40 seasons.
Well, especially considering how much Russ has put up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think someone would have done that with a triple-double, but he hasn't. I think it's useful. I mean, he's having another MVP year. He's number one currently in the NBA.com rankings for MVP. They finally got Jokic up there at 2, thank God, so he's getting some respect, but Giannis has a chance to get another one, so we'll watch that space. Next one, the Clippers have scored 62 points in their last 2 first halves. Combined, 62 points in 4 quarters, Pro. Useful or useless? That's ugly. If you're paying for those seats,
that's ugly.
That is ugly.
That's pretty ugly, Bogues. That's pretty fucking ugly.
They do have injuries, but I mean, 62 points in 4 quarters. Whew.
Yeah.
15 or just under 15 a game.
Yeah, they need to be refunding people some of their fucking money back going to see them play.
For the second half.
Just show up. Yeah, be like Miami and show up in the third quarter. You'll be all right.
Exactly. So I think that's useful. They need to find some offense. Paul George should be back soon. We're spoken about Kawhi, but they got to find something there. The genius that LeBron says Tyronn Lue is. Let's see it without some superstars. All right, next one. Russell Westbrook, last 3 games, Pro. 9 points, 4 of 14 field goals. 6 points, 2 of 12 field goals. 8 points, 2 of 14 field goals. He has shot 20% in that span, Pro. Useful or useless?
Oh, man. That is pretty fucking ugly. Does he play for the Clippers?
He should. He'd probably still be leading them in field goal percentage, though, but yeah.
Bogues, what the fuck? I mean...
Look, he's not a high clip guy, so we know he's not a high clip shooting percentage guy. He never really has been, but they are alarming numbers. And this is my gripe I had with the Lakers from day dot. You're putting a guy that needs the ball, and he's the strongest. His strongest attribute is getting everyone involved and having triple doubles, having the ball in his hands. You put him as the number 2 option next to LeBron, where historically that needs to be a 3-point shooting guy for LeBron. It was trouble from day dot, and we got one right. I called that from the preseason. I think a lot of people got that one right. I think it's almost useless because we know this is Russell Westbrook, right? Is it really that surprising, Pro?
Yeah, it's surprising to me about these numbers. I mean, they're tough, but it's not really who he is. You're right, for sure. And this is the problem when you're going after names instead of fit. when you're trying to acquire players. And this has been the Lakers' problem, for years. Trying to bring in names instead of being like, you know what? Forget about what ESPN would talk about us in the radio shows and the podcasts and stuff, and tipping our hat to us about bringing in a name. And is this name really going to fit, especially with this colossal contract? It's not Russell Westbrook's fault. Like, if you look at his numbers that he's putting up, shooting wise, and all that, it's pretty sort of stable on, like, it's a staple of what he's been doing the last few years anyway. So it's like, you knew what you were getting. Anybody with a brain in their head knew that this is going to be a bad deal for them because, like, just what you said, you got a guy who needs the ball with another guy who needs the ball with less shooting, and neither one of them want to play second fiddle to the other. And it's just tough. It's got nothing to do with, like, saying anything bad about Russell Westbrook. It's just DNA. It's just bad fit. Now, like, look, with Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell and KCP, the guys they dealt to get Westbrook, yeah, they're not perfect either. But none of those guys need the ball. And they play a better style with those guys. And you could have just stayed put and then maybe try to acquire somebody this year anyway. But now you trade those guys who don't need the ball and play a decent role, not perfect players, they're flawed, for a guy with a colossal contract that's definitely 98% going to fail with this other guy that you put him with, because they're just the same type of player. They need the ball and they're not very efficient. So
blame Rob Pelinka. If you want to blame anyone, don't blame LeBron. Don't blame Russell Westbrook. Blame Rob Pelinka, because that was a fit that was doomed from the start. Next one, Jazz this season, 27-10 with Rudy Gobert, 1-4 without Rudy Gobert. But here's a kicker. They are ranked 30th in defensive rating in those 5 games without Gobert, pro. Useful or useless?
Well, first of all, somebody's going to explain what the fuck defensive rating means to me anyway, because I'm pretty fucking stupid with that. But that's pretty useful.
Well, with him on the floor, their defense is very good. With him not on the floor, their defense is fucking horrible.
See, Bogues, you get me.
I got you. A few F-bombs, we got it.
Oh, yeah, that's how you explain it to me. Yeah, of course, it's useful. I mean, it just it's a short span, but the teams they lost to and how they lost to them by, if you're a championship caliber team, it's next man up, like we've been talking about. So
all good
it's
teams.
Very useful.
All good championship teams. The Warriors, during their runs, they rested guys on random nights, almost on purpose, to have other guys step up. Enough with the Rudy Gobert slander.
Yeah.
Provers in the numbers. Useful as fuck. You need him on the floor to be competitive to win a playoff series. Without him, they're just not going far. So, all right, fact or fake news. You've done it. You've put a little twist on it, pro. You could put a little Memphis twist on the fact or fake news, man.
Yeah, Bogues, it's stressful, trying to think about these fact or fake news tidbits for you. So instead of just spreading it out and trying to find this thing better than this guy going to win more games than this, let's center it around one team, one player, and just sort of get your whole sort of view on this player. So it's going to be Ja Morant. Look, everybody's been talking about Ja Morant. How many times do we have to hear that he's like a more athletic Allen Iverson? Like, he took the league by storm, blah, blah, blah. Finally, they're figuring out that he's much better player than, Zion Williamson. I don't think it took a rocket scientist. People are finally, talking about that. So let's talk about Ja Morant. So first off, right now, if you had to rank all the players, right, and not ranking them, but just sort of get an idea of how you would rank the league based on talent, age, value, all of that, would you rank Ja Morant in the top 15?
I would, yeah. Probably have him in, off the top of my head, he'd be around 10, 11, 12.
He'd be 10.
Yep, somewhere around there. Yep.
So here's the guys, right? Kevin Durant, in no order, but Kevin Durant, LeBron, Luka, Jan. You tell me, like, if I mention a guy that Ja Morant's better than. So you got Durant, LeBron, Luka, Giannis, Jokic, Steph, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, James Harden. Now here's where that you probably can get him in there. That's 9 names right there. Then you got Dame Lillard, you got Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, Ja Morant. Then you start getting into the Donovan Mitchells, the Trae Youngs, the Kyrie Irvings, the Paul Georges, Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, Rudy, Brandon Ingram, guys like that. So would you put him in your top 15?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Definitely. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
Me too.
I think he's in there. And I think they're winning games. Proof is in the pudding. I think he's having a huge impact on them, and he's going to continue to be a force. I mean, earlier on in the year, we spoke about at one point he was leading the NBA in paint points, which is outrageous from the guard spot, right? Yeah. So he's putting his head on the rim. He'll get better at learning not to go in there as much once he gets a bit older and rely a bit more on that outside jumper. But yeah, I like him. I think he's a great player, and his athleticism is unmatched in the league at the moment. So fact. Yeah, fact for me too. I think he's in the top 15 too. I think he's right around that 11 or 12. I think you could put him as high as 10, as high as 9 actually, and based on age, and then like that 9 to 12 range. So that's fact. All right, so let's stay with the ranking of Ja Morant now. Players under 26 and under, would you put him in the top 5? So here's the list of 8 guys that are 26 and under, and you tell me. So you got Luka, you got Giannis, you got Jokic, you got Booker, you got Ja, you got Donovan Mitchell, and you've got Trae Young, you got Jason Tatum. So those are 8 guys on 26 and under. Would you put him in the top 5 on those guys' list? And if you did put him in top 5, who would you rank? Where would you rank them? So I think go through those names again. I think I have Luka above him, Giannis above him, Jokic above him. Who else do you have?
Booker, Ja, Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I think Booker and him are a wrestle for 4-5, and then I have Donovan Tatum below. So yeah, he makes my top 5. I think he just scrapes in. You? That's
exactly how I had it ranked. Luka, Giannis, Jokic, Booker, Ja Morant at 5.
Yep.
And Donovan Mitchell at 6. Yeah, that's sort of how I had it. And then I had Jason Tatum. I had Trae Young and then Jason Tatum. So yeah, I have a fact as well. All right, so that's easy. That's semi easy. Last one. Memphis Grizzlies will make an NBA final in the next 5 years.
Whew.
Fact or fake news?
That's a tough one. That is tough.
So here's what you got, Bogues, right? In my opinion, in the West, you got Phoenix, who sort of, you don't know where they're going to be in 5 years. Look, you got Booker, you got Ayton. You got those 2 guys. Then you got Bridges. Chris Paul is definitely going to be a shell of himself in 5 years. I don't care how many insurance commercials he can do. He's not going to be where he is in 5 years from now, where he is now. So you've got that group together. Don't know what Golden State's going to be, but they got these young guys coming in with Steph and Draymond and Klay. Then you've got Utah, who's, don't know where they're going to be. Dallas could be that team that could sort of rise up, because at that point they'll probably bring in somebody else, for KP, and to put a number 2 guy with Luka and with the role players and see what they can do. They could be a team that gets out of the West in the next 5. Denver's probably going to be, out of that. They're probably going to get too old, or something's going to happen to them. Lakers, I think, are done now. I can't see the Lakers, even if they dump salary, make trades. I think they're done as far as being a finals team. I think that they could get out of right now. I think they're going to have a hard time I said this a month ago. I think they're going to have a hard time getting in the top 10, but let's just say they're going to get in the play-in or even as high as 6. Where do you go even if you do make that? They're not making anything. So Memphis, with the most exciting player on, right now, one of the most exciting players in the league. You got all these role players. You got a good coach. Is Ja Morant going to be gone in 5 years? Do you see this team making a run to make a finals in the next 5 years? One time. Can they be that Phoenix Suns one time?
Shit. It's tough because the West is still a tough conference. I'm going to say fact. They will. They'll have one run at it. I think they're a piece away. I think they make that adjustment in the off-season or the following season, and then I think they get there in the next 5 years. I think they're a young team. They have a lot of young talent, and I think they can keep this group together for 2 or 3 years in a row. More from now, I think they'll have that opportunity. But look, it's a coin flip in my opinion. But I'll go fact on it, Pro.
Yeah, I'm going to go fact too. And I hate co-signing you for all 3. I don't like to do this where we co-sign each other, but I think that they will. The way the league is, and if Ja could stay there, and then and Jaren Jackson makes a little bit of a rise, they add another piece. They're good in free agency. Their front office has done a pretty good job, putting pieces around. But now the only thing is they're not going to be drafted in the spots that they need to draft in to get great players. So you're going to have to get a lot of mid to late first round picks, and figure that stuff out, and then use free agency. I don't think that they spend a ton of money. Kyle Anderson will come off their books, and I'm almost positive that a couple of other guys restructured their deals for them. As far as I think Steven Adams restructured his deal, so he's like on a lower deal. But they don't really have any high money guys. The problem is they're going to have to max out Jaren Jackson. They're going to have to max out Ja Morant. Dylan Brooks is going to get something if he didn't already. Desmond Bane's going to get a decent contract. So the problem probably that's going to come up for them is, are they going to spend that money that they need? Xavier Tillman's a decent player, and some of these other role guys. Conchar, he's a pretty good player. That young kid that's been playing with with all the COVID stuff, he's actually had shooting almost 50% from three. He's had some decent deals, but that's the thing, Bogues. Who the fuck knows with COVID, with how all this stuff's going? Like, you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty wide open. It's pretty wide open, man. Like, moving forward, I mean, this is one of the first seasons. It's pretty open in the East. Still, I mean, Brooklyn obviously up there, Chicago, and then in the West, there's the question marks around Golden State. Can they go over the top now with Klay? But there's a lot of other people punching up now. Dallas and Memphis, and I think it's as wide open as we've seen. Usually there's 2 or 3, maybe 4 teams that you're like, yep, they're going chip. Whereas you factor in Milwaukee as well, there's a bunch more teams. I think we can extend it to 6, 7, maybe a few surprises. But it'd be nice to see. I think just for the Memphis, the franchise and the story of how close they got when we knocked them out, I think it'd be cool to see them. Small market, to get to a finals would be nice, I think, bro.
Yeah, I think so. And look, we just said it. We think that Ja Morant's a top 5 player under 26 and under. So you've got basically a top 5 MVP candidate on your team. And look, where do free agents want to go? They want to go, A, do you have a chance to win it? B, is your city like a destination city? So we know Memphis isn't, unless you're a fucking Elvis fan or whatever, you're not really, that's really not a destination city. But to play with Ja Morant, which seems like he's really fun to play with, the city gets behind you. Look, NBA cities is good place to live in every NBA city, as much as you don't like it or like it. But so you need to have a chance to win. You need a player that's going to bring you there, basically an MVP candidate, and you need to be a destination city. So they got the 1 out of 3. They could probably get 2 out of 3 if they have a chance to win it, and it might attract another player. So I think they're going to make a final in the next 5. I really do.
Let's go Grizzlies. Steven Adams, baby. We'll see how we go. All right. Thanks for joining us again. Episode 49 in the books. We're not going to do the Q&A on the pod live this week, so we want to try to get a few more people on the call-in app. So please register on the call-in app so you can actually ask a question. Have a listen to this week's Q&A on there live, and then hopefully we can get a few more people joining next week to ask some questions on the pod. Pro, thank you. We'll see you next week.
Bogues, thanks, brother.